What's going on, everybody? Asad Hashmi here for another lesson of economics. And today we're going to touch a topic which is the foundation of economics, theory of demand. Now, if you don't understand this lesson, all right, please comment below, sort it out, whatever queries you have, whatever questions you have, reach out to us, because if you don't understand this, the next syllabus, the forthcoming syllabus will be a little tricky for you as well. So I recommend that you give it your 100% and also take screenshots of the screen once I tell you to so that you can revise it more easily. Now, theory of demand is, or demand is defined as the willingness and ability of a customer to buy a product. Notice I've underlined 4 words, willingness and ability. Now, when there was a want, we realized, we learned earlier that there's a want or there's a need, and you create that desire to buy something, or you create that need or the urge to buy something, right? Now, the ability is the cash in your hand, or the ability to get up and just go and buy something. And the willingness is that want factor. Now, let's talk about a PS4. Let's say that a PS4 costs 30,000 rupees and I have the money to buy it, but I don't want a PS4. So I've ticked off the ability part of it, but the willingness isn't there. So I don't demand a PS4. But if I do want a PS4 and I do have the money in hand, I've created the demand for it and I'm a customer, right? So the demand is the customer side of everything, is the consumer side of the whole theory of demand, or the theory of the market as a whole, the price mechanism, right? In the last class, we learned that the market system works on the price mechanism. This is it. This is where my price mechanism starts. So if there's no want for me to buy the PS4, but I have the cash, I don't demand it. Unless I do want it and I do have the cash for it, I will demand it, I will want it. That want, that desire for me to buy one PS4 is called the quantity demanded. Now let's say that Faizan also wants a PS4 and he has the money as well. So now the quantity demanded for PS4s has gone up by 2 units. Yeah, I want one, Faizan wants one, so the quantity demanded is 2 units. Because individually, we want that. So when we talk about quantity demanded, always understand this is the individual customer that we're talking about in this case. Now, this is how the demand curve looks. And in school, or the teachers always tell us the demand curve is a downward sloping demand because price goes up, quantity goes down, and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's correct. But understand why. If I want more of something, I would maybe want more PS4s if the price went down. A PS4 costs 30,000 rupees. If it goes up to 50,000 rupees, I might not want that PS4 in the first place. But then there's something like Kokomo, yeah, the biscuits, you guys remember those? If the price right now is 10 and it goes down to 5, I might just want more. I could buy more with the money I have in my hand. So as the price goes down, my desire or my want to buy more of it will obviously go up, right? So the quantity demanded will go up as the price goes down. Now remember, yes, the demand is a downward sloping curve. Always remember to label your axis, yeah? The y-axis is the price axis, the x-axis is the quantity, and over here you need to mention 0. Always remember that if you are labeling, if you're going to show a drop in price, make the arrow as well. If you're going to show a rise in price, make an arrow accordingly. And the same has to reflect onto the quantity axis as well. So the last part of this section of the lesson is the law of demand. The law of demand is pretty simple. As price goes down, quantity will go up. Therefore, these 3 dots is therefore an inverse relationship between price and quantity. Inverse relationship, what does that mean? One goes up, the other goes down. I could also call it an indirect relationship. If my, say, price goes up, my quantity goes down. If my price goes down, my quantity goes up. Take a quick screenshot of this real quickly before I erase this, all right? So now what we're going to look at is how is the market demand derived. That means the market demand is basically all the individuals combined together. How do you find the market price? How do you determine the price that I want for a PS4 is the same as the price what Faizan wants? Or also, how do you determine that if I want 1 unit or Faizan wants 2 units, how much should the producer make, right? That's called the market demand. And it's found by the horizontal summation of individual demand curves. Horizontal summation is what? Horizontal is straight like that, yeah? And the summation is by adding the individual demands. So what am I going to do? If I find my demand curve, at a price of 10, I would want 5 units of anything. Let's not keep it specific. Consumer B at the same price of 10 wants 10 units. So that means that if I'm fixing the price What is the corresponding demand? 5 and 10. I'm going to add these two quantity demanded and then bring them in together to show 15, right? So at one price, I need to add what is the total quantity demanded by each individual in that market. That's how I'm going to get my market demand. All right, but now that's not just it for demand. There can be shifts in the demand curve, or there could be movements in the demand curve, right? Now a movement would be just along this axis, that the demand curve hasn't moved up or down. It's just that as the price goes up, the quantity would go down. So that's pretty simple, right? Those are price factors. Movements happen because of price factors, but shifts happen because of non-price factors, all right? Always remember, non-price factors create a shift in the demand curve. Price factors cause a movement along the demand curve. Now, let's say that there's a shift in the demand curve because now all of a sudden people have had a change in fashion or have a change in taste of what they want. Let's say people stop wearing sweatpants and actually start wearing some pants like real people do, right? So the demand for pants goes up, and then that means that the shift is going to be from D1 to D2, all right? Now D1 to D2 which means is that at that same price, the quantity demanded goes up, all right? Always remember this, that at the same price, the quantity demanded is going to go up. That's how I show the shift. Again, at each and every price, more is demanded by the market. That's what happens when there's a shift outwards. And the same is going to happen when the shift is inwards. Less is demanded as at each and every price. Again, if there's a demand shift not from D1 to D2, but D1 to, let's say, D3, it moves in. At each and every price level, the quantity demanded will go down. Again, take a screenshot. There's one last thing. Okay, now the last part, determinants of demand, or what causes the rise in demand or a fall in demand. Price factors lead to a movement in the demand curve, so that does determine demand. Non-price factors cause shifts, so that means that there might be an increase of quantity demanded at each and every price level. If there's an outward shift, or there's an increase in demand. Now, some factors are income, substitutes and complements, advertising, habits and fashion, and then government policy. Let's quickly go over these. If I get more income, if I'm making more money, I might demand more of something and less of something. Let's say I was driving a bike before, and now I have more money to buy a car. So that car becomes a normal good for me because I can afford it now. But the bike becomes inferior because I don't feel like I need it anymore. Substitutes and complements. The easiest way to explain this. Substitutes are those goods which can be replaced for one another. Complements are those goods which go well together. So let's talk about substitutes. If I want more, if the price of Pepsi goes up, I'll switch to Coke. And in complements, if the price of butter goes up, I won't require more bread because they're complements, they go well together. Advertising is just basically, if it's effective, it'll create a want, it'll create a desire for you to have it. Habits in fashion. Let's take an iPhone, for example. Let's say that Apple rules the world and then you need an iPhone. So that means that the world is moved towards an iPhone, and then automatically you're going to demand more of those products from Apple. And then government policy. If the government is going to levy more tax on your income, automatically you'll be spending less. So your demand for all products might just go down because you have less money left in your hands. Now, hope you guys like this. Next week, we're going to talk about supply.